We start with breaking news from NASA that the signal sent towards an alien world in early 2010 would now have arrived. The project, named the Optimistic Interstellar Friendship Broadcast, or OIFB for short, was launched in early April 2010, with the goal of transmitting a complex radio broadcast towards a planet named Gliese 876d. The planet, formally discovered in 2005, sits just over 15 light-years from Earth, and initially was thought to be a world of hot and dangerous molten rock, almost incapable of supporting any kind of life. An artist's interpretation of the original view of Gliese 876d depicts a hot red rocky world bathed in the burning sunlight of its parent star, Gliese 876. Early investigations into the planet concluded the mass of the world to be around 6.8 times that of the mass of the Earth, formally designating it as a super-Earth. However, around 2009, a team of NASA astrophysicists began a deeper dive into the world, as they were unconvinced of the initial claims that the world was just a molten hellscape. What they concluded is that the world is far more like planet Earth than previously thought. They calculated that between the mass of the planet, the distance from the star, the amount of heat hitting the planet from the star, and the tilt and spin of the world, the planet could very well be stable enough to hold a thick atmosphere, and in turn, oceans of liquid water. A more recent artist's depiction of Gliese 876d shows the world to be much more like Earth, with large land masses and flowing blue oceans of liquid water across the surface. Having formally declared their evidence to the initial NASA team that concluded the first findings about the planet, the group at NASA unanimously agreed that the second conclusion was the more accurate take, and that sky-rocketed the planet to the top of the list of Earth-like exoplanets recorded by NASA. By early 2010, those at NASA were so convinced in the plausibility of the world being life-bearing that they decided to broadcast a friendship broadcast towards the world. With it being 15 light-years from Earth, the broadcast would take 15 years to be received by any civilization dwelling on the planet, and thus if they did have similar technology to us on Earth, we would have a 15-year wait for a response. This, however, was not an issue for NASA scientists, as the response would be in the lifetime of all those who worked on the initial project. With the prospect of a possible first contact in the coming decades, the space-obsessed communities of Earth are abuzz with hope and expectation that Gliese 876d could be our very first contact with a civilization beyond the stars. Of course, nothing is guaranteed, but the hope is that if estimations are right, there may be a high possibility of life existing there. The scientific world will be keeping its fingers crossed in hope for the next 15 years. Physicist Michio Kaku has raised several concerns about a first contact procedure with alien civilizations, with comparisons being made to the downfall of the Aztec civilization.
To Cortez and Montezuma. Montezuma in Mexico made the biggest mistake in history. He assumed that Cortez was a god. Cortez was a pirate, a bloodthirsty pirate carrying smallpox, armed with steel, the horse, the written language, gunpowder. The Aztecs were a Bronze Age civilization with no written language, no horse, no steel, totally vulnerable to smallpox. It was no contest. So I think it's a good idea to keep our presence a secret so that the aliens don't put us in their sights. Who knows what the aliens believe in?
The wide-held belief that a return signal from the planet Gliese 876d could possibly arrive around 15 years from now is also a point of contention amongst theoretical physicists, with the argument of a much more advanced civilization than ours being proposed. Our current knowledge of the laws of physics limit anything traveling faster than the speed of light, which is rounded up slightly to 300 million meters per second. The fastest man-made object ever created was the Parker Solar Probe. At its fastest speed relative to our Sun, it was recorded traveling at 430,000 miles per hour, which is around 0.064% the speed of light. At this speed, traveling to Gliese 876d, it would take roughly 21,000 years to arrive. Scientists do now propose the idea of wormhole travel, however, which is a theoretically sound way of getting around the limits of the speed of light without breaking the laws of physics. The theory of wormhole travel says that the fabric of spacetime itself can be manipulated, Take a piece of paper for example. If you fold that paper into two and then pierce a pencil through both sides, that hole can be used to travel from one end of the paper to the other in little to no time, cutting out the journey across the entire sheet. If this technology is possessed by an advanced alien civilization, it could mean that they would be able to jump from their region of space to ours without breaking the laws of physics, and thus, a first contact scenario would be possible much quicker than the 15 years proposed for a signal response. All of this is purely theoretical, however, and with no knowledge of the actual existence of an alien civilization on Gliese 876d, we may never receive a response, and our signal may just drift into the deep regions of space forevermore. Maybe one day, millions of years from now, in the deepest and darkest regions of the universe, another civilization will pick up this signal, but from a long-dead human race. We have breaking news that NASA and the European Space Agency have confirmed a gigantic buildup of objects, suspected to be asteroids, is being tracked around the orbit of the planet Uranus. On Christmas Day, several amateur astronomers began tracking the buildup around the Oort cloud, from where it gradually moved into the Kuiper belt, and then further onto the orbit of Neptune. Currently, NASA has stated that over 10,000 individual objects of various shapes and sizes are being tracked on a direct path towards the orbit of the Earth. The current working theory of how such a huge gathering of possible asteroids formed so quickly under the noses of lead astronomers is that a collision of a group of rock formations within the Oort cloud, sometimes known as ice moons, caused thousands of pieces of rock and debris to be launched towards the inner solar system. However, how these objects have stayed in roughly the same formation and remained on the same flight path towards Earth is currently unknown. Scientists expect the vast majority of these objects to harmlessly fly past Earth and approach the Sun, where they will burn up in its atmosphere. However, the possibility of at least some of these objects being caught by the gravitational pull of the Moon or the Earth could cause asteroid strikes across parts of the Earth. Although accurate information on the size of these objects hasn't yet been provided, it is believed that they aren't big enough to cause significant damage to any unfortunate impact zones that could occur on the Earth. NASA has vowed to keep tracking these objects to provide regular updates on their projected flight paths. Any definitive evidence of possible strikes upon the Earth will be given first to the respective governments of the affected countries, and then to the wider population, so a preparation plan can be developed in case of worse than projected damage. This is BBC News. We are currently awaiting a message from the government of the United Kingdom. We ask you to please be patient while we wait for this message. It is crucial that you listen to this broadcast. Please stand by. We can confirm the following information to be a monumental development in the history of the human race. We urge the public to remain calm during this broadcast. The following information may cause widespread distress and panic. Do not be alarmed, the government will do everything in its power to keep you informed and safe during this process. In a moment, we will broadcast a statement on behalf of the government of the United Kingdom. Stay tuned. The following is a statement from the Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. Citizens of the United Kingdom. Today I bring you world-shaking news. The objects which were identified weeks ago emerging from the Oort cloud were not asteroids, they were spacecraft of extraterrestrial origin. The photograph you are seeing was taken from a window aboard the International Space Station. It shows a formation of circular craft above the skies of our world. I have been informed that many thousands more like this are slowly approaching our planet from all sides. This is a monumental moment in the history of the human species. For the first time we can say with absolute clarity, with absolute certainty, that humanity is not alone in the universe. The oldest question, the most pertinent question of our time, has finally been answered. Today, we enter a new era. We step forward not as lone individuals pondering our place amongst the stars, but as a collective people, a human people, united, and ready to share our knowledge, our culture, and our history with people forged under a different sky, a different star, on a different world. We currently are attempting to make contact with our visitors, and once a breakthrough is achieved, the people of Earth will be made privy to any and all exchanges we have with the alien species in our skies. We have an opportunity to forge a new relationship today, to share and discover unknown knowledge, to acquire unknown technology, to make unknown friends. But know this, we are aware of the dangers, and the speculation. We know that they may have a completely different moral compass to us, a completely different way of life, and to that we stand ready. Be assured, the militaries of Earth are on high alert. Although we aim to conduct ourselves in a welcoming and friendly manner, we have to acknowledge the possibility of hostility. If the worst comes to pass, we are prepared. But know this, we are committed to forming a relationship of cooperation and peaceful existence with our visitors. We say welcome to Earth, we are the human race, and it's a pleasure to meet you. That was a statement from the Prime Minister on the developing story concerning the arrival of extraterrestrial ships in our atmosphere. This is a truly monumental moment for our world. We have more breaking news now that several of these craft have entered the atmosphere and are approaching cities across the world. Currently, we have no knowledge of any ships approaching the UK, but we are getting scattered reports that several are already positioned over American cities. Hang on. We have a photograph taken from Washington, D.C. which appears to show these craft hovering low across the horizon. Here is that image. We are also receiving reports that the craft are positioning themselves above many more major cities across the world. We have reports that Paris, Berlin, Warsaw, Moscow, New Delhi, Beijing, Tokyo, and more have craft now descending above them. The motive of this is currently unclear. We are receiving word that the United States government has moved up to DEFCON 2 as a precautionary measure against hostilities. We now have an image of a craft hovering above the Houses of Parliament in London. London now has these craft hovering above the city. We are also now being told that the British government has ordered an evacuation of major cities across the United Kingdom as a precautionary measure. I repeat, major cities across the United Kingdom are being told to evacuate. Now we are hearing sounds coming from the ships. A metallic sound seems to be resonating outwards from the craft. We're currently trying to reach reporters on the ground, but there seems to be an issue with connecting to them. We aren't sure whether there is some form of interference being ran by the ships. Hold on. We are now getting reports of large purple beams coming from the underneath of the craft. Bear with us please. I think something is happening with the ship. The lights are spinning now. Spinning extremely fast.
The emergency alert system on behalf of His Majesty's government. The alien craft have opened fire upon planet Earth. I repeat, the alien craft are hostile. Seek immediate shelter underground. Their weaponry has destroyed the houses of Parliament. We currently have no information on the whereabouts of the Prime Minister or His Majesty the King. This is an emergency message. Do not stay at surface level. Their weapons can destroy structures at surface level. We advise getting into bunkers, subway tunnels, sewer tunnels, basements, anything relatively far underground. We have no real knowledge of their capabilities. Stay as far away as possible from these ships. If there is no alien presence in your visible surroundings, then evacuate immediately to the while you still have the chance. An attempted military response is currently underway. Remain calm. I repeat, humanity is under attack from an extraterrestrial invader. Seek immediate underground or rural shelter. Scatter, take 2 weeks worth of food and water and spread yourselves across the countryside. Major cities are being targeted. We understand that Washington, D.C. has been completely destroyed. New York and Los Angeles have also been hit heavily. In the UK, London is under catastrophic attack, as are Birmingham, Nottingham, Leicester, Leeds, Cardiff, Manchester, Liverpool, Newcastle, Edinburgh, Glasgow and Belfast. If you are in these cities, seek underground shelter as soon as possible. We understand Paris has been struck heavily, as well as Berlin, Amsterdam, Warsaw, Moscow, Rome, Ankara, New Delhi, Beijing and Tokyo. The major cities of planet Earth are being annihilated. Unthinkable casualties are expected to already have been taken. Please do not engage the craft. The military are currently in the process of responding to this attack. Please stay tuned for further updates. This is the emergency alert system. Please stand by. This is the emergency alert system. It is with great sadness that we have to announce that His Majesty the King, as well as the royal family, were unable to be evacuated in time and unfortunately got caught in the first wave of attacks. Their passing weighs heavily upon all of us. We are currently attempting to establish contact with members of the line of succession scattered across the nation. However, due to the extent of the attack by the alien forces, we have currently been unsuccessful in locating these people. We also have to announce the sad passing of the Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer, as well as a large portion of the government, who were present in the Houses of Parliament at the moment of the attack. Their loss also weighs upon the nation, and we are currently attempting to establish contact with the living members of the Labour Party across Britain to find the next in line for role of Prime Minister. Our intelligence operatives, working alongside those still surviving in the United States, have been working hard to gain information on the alien beings we are currently being attacked by. One thing we can confirm is that the species does indeed come from the planet Gliese 876d, and utilized some form of advanced wormhole technology to travel to our solar system. We also believe that there are biological beings inside of the ships currently occupying planet Earth. The military speculated that they may be a form of rogue artificial intelligence due to the complete lack of contact with them through broadcast. However, we now believe this was more a choice, opting not to communicate with their potential victims. Our attempts at striking their ships have so far proved to be ineffective, as they appear to have an advanced energy shielding system coating their vessels, making it impossible for ballistic weaponry to strike. Remaining military scientists are currently theorizing ways of disabling these shields to expose the ships to ballistic missile fire. However, we currently have no breakthroughs. We believe that worldwide, around 4 billion humans have already been eliminated by the alien forces, with over 20 million being killed here in the United Kingdom. This is an unprecedented loss of life, and we pray for anyone who has lost loved ones so far. Our limited intelligence believes that the aliens have moved on to the next stage of their assault, and we believe it to be a biological weapon. Sources still available across the world have reported tens of thousands of cases of excessive bleeding from the eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. We believe there is a possibility that the aliens have developed an airborne bioweapon and deployed it into our atmosphere. We believe this bioweapon targets blood flow to the brain, forcing it out of the body through exit points in the head, eventually causing brain death. We urge all survivors to wear face coverings at all times, as this is a painful and vicious way to die. Currently, we believe around 10,000 cases of this sudden illness have been witnessed in the United Kingdom, with many deaths already recorded. Surviving biological scientists have been analyzing the bodies of victims in order to attempt to locate the cause of these deaths, although no significant developments have been recorded at this point. The British Armed Forces are currently on a dispersal order across the nation. In small groups, they have spread into rural areas, forests, cave systems, and coastal towns, in an attempt to keep a fighting force of military personnel alive throughout the nation in the case of a future counterattack against the invaders. The Royal Air Force and Royal Navy, however, have no fared as well. The Air Force attempted to strike the ships during the first attack, but faced a complicated point defense system which shot down a large majority of our aircraft. We estimate that the Royal Air Force's fighting capability has already been cut to around 15% of the pre-attack level. The Royal Navy has also suffered similar losses, with the alien ships launching precise laser attacks upon our vessels. The HMS Prince of Wales is still active, however is docked in an undisclosed location. We urge the civilian population to continue to hide in the remote corners of the nation, as well as in underground structures, for the foreseeable future. Currently, we have no way of efficiently striking back against the invaders. When we do find a weakness in their armor, however, we will need civilian aid in order to bring the attack to the alien forces. That means as many of you staying alive as possible. Ration your food and water. Cut down on anything you can possibly cut down on. Make harsh, but necessary decisions. Be as quiet as possible, and leave no technological footprint. We believe the time will come once more for us to strike, but we must be prepared and ready. Any further updates will be broadcast on this channel to the general public. Stay safe, stay strong, stay alive. Thank you.
Humanity. I speak for the Zenkarian Horde, disciples of the stellar darkness. You reached out, we responded. Your trial has begun, and you are being found to be unworthy. We could abolish your world within moments, but the sport is fun, and despite your feeble technology, you resist vigorously. It is admirable. Thus, we give you the choice. You will soon see processing centers begin to emerge across your territories. Those who submit will know survival. Those who fight will know obliteration. The choice is yours. Zenkori Kitsokahan.
This is the emergency alert system on behalf of the British military government. Recent evacuation orders of Greater London were for this very scenario. Within the next few moments, a British Trident nuclear submarine off the coast of the British Isles will launch its nuclear payload towards the alien craft hovering above what was London. Around 100 kilotons will be used in an attempt to destroy the ship. If this is successful, we will know that the ships can be taken down, and a global strike may be able to take place. Those of you still in the Greater London area, we would like to apologize for this action. Know that your sacrifice will be used as motivation to defeat the Zenkari invaders. Trident missile launch in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Launch. Confirmed launch. Trident nuclear missiles heading towards alien craft above London. May God have mercy upon us all. The impact will be relatively quick due to the short distance from the target that the missiles have been fired. Approaching target now. I repeat, the missiles are approaching target now. Strike imminent. Strike imminent. Strike imminent. Strike imminent. Strike confirmed. Nuclear payload impact upon Zenkari ship confirmed. Awaiting damage confirmation. Please wait. Please wait. Debris cloud from the impact is currently obscuring vision. Cannot confirm at this time. Please stand by. Cloud beginning to settle. Stand by. Negative. Strike did no damage. Target remains. I repeat. Target remains. Fallout descending across London. Nuclear radiation spreading across London. Mission confirmed as a failure. We are sorry. This is the emergency alert system on behalf of the British military government. Collaboration contacts within the American resistance government have confirmed our suspicions that the labor camps our people reside in are actually purpose-built terraforming facilities. The people being used for slave labor within these facilities are unknowingly building atmospheric processing devices that are stripping the oxygen from our atmosphere. Some form of unknown chemical reaction is also taking place, changing the air into a hazy red fog. We must act fast on this. We must destroy the facilities across our land. This is crucial. We estimate that the oxygen level has dropped from 21% in our atmosphere to 17%, and it continues to fall. At 17%, we are already at risk. But even further deterioration in the oxygen level would cause us to begin to suffer from unbreathable air. Thus, we are coordinating a mass country-wide strike upon any and all Zenkari terraforming camps. Remaining military, air force, and naval personnel, as well as willing civilian volunteers, must strike at any facilities in your area. If we fail, our atmosphere becomes toxic to not just the remaining humans on Earth, but also the animal life on our world. We hold the mantle of guardians of our planet. We must stop this process. Effective immediately, we order a mass assault against the Zenkari forces and their plants. If you are successful, regather the surviving forces and attempt to free healthy live human prisoners. Also attempt to gather any and all information available inside these bases for future use. The human resistance must win this battle, or the world itself will be lost to us. Go forth and fight for your home. Drive the aliens back into the sky. This is the emergency alert system on behalf of the British military government. Currently, the majority of the south of England is flooded with radiation. Portions of the Midlands provide a safe haven for survivors, as well as rural valleys and mountains in Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. The rapid drop in the temperature has been caused by not just the destruction of the majority of the Zenkari terraforming network, but also the nuclear winter starting to set in across the Earth. Expect temperatures to drop well below 0 degrees in the coming days. Currently, the military are hunting down remaining Zenkari soldiers who fled into the countryside after the destruction of their camps across Great Britain. However, many Zenkari did also manage to finally return to their ships, and once again began striking civilian population centers. I can confirm to you that most of Scandinavia is now uninhabited, apart from remote communities in the far north. The United States is a radioactive wasteland, with an estimated 40 million survivors across the nation. Underdeveloped countries across Africa and the Middle East have been completely stripped clean of civilization, as well as large portions of Asia. Small areas of Europe cling on, but with the fallout and radiation cloaking the continent, these numbers are set to drop heavily. We believe now to be the time to launch our last all-out assault on the Zenkari. Our world is obliterated. It will take decades, centuries even, to rebuild. Millions more will die, the world's population will drop far under 1 billion, but humanity will endure and will survive, even if civilization does not. But for us to have the ability to have future descendants, we must rid our world of the Zenkari, and that means taking out the ships. Until now, they have been untouchable. The shielding makes our weaponry inept. However, we have discovered through decoded information retrieved from one of the fallen terraforming camps that they are designed to absorb the impact from purely weaponry and high-speed impacts. If something was to drift towards the ships at a low speed, the shields will not react. They will not recognize it as an attack, and the object will be able to drift through the shield envelope and make contact with the ship. This is where our plan comes into action. Over the next 7 days, we will be distributing the location of several different gas production facilities from across the UK, as well as weather balloon and hot air balloon making and storing facilities. We plan on launching clusters of explosives attached to balloons towards the ships in an attempt to damage the ships in a death by 1,000 cuts method. While this is happening, remaining fighter aircraft will risk their lives, and in an honest admission give their lives, so that a risky and experimental plan can be put into action. While the jets occupy the ships, a flotilla of hot air balloons will set off across the United Kingdom. Many of the weather balloons will be strapped to children, who unfortunately are suffering from unrecoverable illnesses or damage caused by the Zenkari invasion. The hot air balloons will be controlled by adults in the same position, or with radiation sickness and other ailments caused by the nuclear fallout. These brave souls will drift skyward towards the ships above us. They will be armed with weaponry and explosives. Many of them won't make it, but those who do will make contact with the alien craft and either find a way inside or find exposed systems on the outside of the hull. Those inside will fight the Zenkari forces while planting timed explosives across the interior of their ships. If our plan succeeds, these brave men, women, and children will have gave their lives to take down the enemy ships from the inside. Make no mistake, this sounds ludicrous, it sounds ridiculous, and that's because it is. In a normal world, this plan would never be touched, never even be thought about, but we are extremely limited in our options. If this succeeds, we may just save ourselves from extinction. If it does not, unless something else becomes available to use very soon, we may be on our way to an attritional extinction. We believe in our species, however, and if our calculations are correct, this plan may just be achievable. Over the coming days, we will need willing volunteers. Preferably the sick, the wounded, the dying, to willingly sacrifice themselves in order to make this plan a possibility. We know what we are asking, but the future of our world and our species is on the line. Know that your sacrifice will be remembered forevermore across the world. Once we distribute the location of the sites which store the balloons and the gas needed for this plan, we will need brave scavengers to venture out into the radiation and destruction to retrieve them. Again, this is most likely a sacrifice, but for the cause, no sacrifice is too great. We have a 7-day deadline to achieve this, and we will. Our people will live on. Make your plans, people of Great Britain, and show full commitment once it is kicked into action. God bless you all, and may the next week save us from the comforts of heaven, due to our victory here in the hell on earth.
Humanity. The Horde has deemed the trial over. Despite our initial doubt at the resilience of your species, you keep on fighting. 95% of your population lays dead, most of the rest of you lay dying. Yet you still resist. We find this admirable. We find this honorable. The slaughter will come to an end. Know this, the galactic Zinkarian Horde has designated you as a worthy integration. In the years to come, when you have repopulated and rebuilt, we will return not to conquer, but to integrate. You will join the Empire as warriors among us, like several other species deemed worthy. It is the highest honor possible for a species in this galaxy. But remember the devastation we brought. We could end this world still. Accept your fate. Join our ranks. The future is bright for humanity. Humanity will join the Horde.